Well, welcome back to Spencer FYI. We are here at the Grand Avenue Community Outreach, and we're going to talk to the new Executive Director, Kevin Brown. Welcome.
Yeah.
So-
Welcome to Terrazzo.
Yeah, exactly. This is a beautiful place you have here.
Yeah.
So what exactly, for folks out there that don't know what the Grand Avenue Community Outreach, what is housed in, what is it, and what is housed in this building?
Okay. Well, it's an ecumenical nonprofit, volunteer-driven organization. We provide social services and outreach programs to meet the needs of Northwest Iowans and beyond when it comes to just getting back on your feet, getting picked up from life circumstances. Sometimes life can get you down, and this building is here designed to help people recover from some of those things.
Okay, so what kind of things are housed in the building?
Well, as of right now, you're sitting in Terrazzo Coffee House, where we proudly brew caribou coffee, which keeps me going throughout the day. And then outside of that, we have our kitchen rented out to the McCurry's Creative Catering, so they base their operations out of here, and they provide all the food for us here in the coffee shop. But once you get upstairs, the next level above us here, that's the Grand Avenue Free Medical Clinic and the Grand Avenue Free Dental Clinic. And they provide services to people all over the place, not just in Spencer, not just in Clay County, not even just in Northwest Iowa. They've kind of branched beyond that. People are coming down from the VA in Sioux Falls to get some dental work done and things like that. Also on that floor, we've got the food outreach and the clothing outreach. It's called His Hands Extended, and it's just packed with volunteers that come up and either sort through the clothes or bring the food in. We're partnered with the Food Bank of Iowa, and so we give out about 2 tons of food and 2,000 articles of clothing each month through those 2 outreaches, and they run on alternating Thursdays with the medical and dental clinic. So one Thursday it will be the food and clothing, and then the next Thursday it'll be medical and dental, and so on and so forth throughout the year. So I should probably mention that Birthright is there now too. They're new to the building. There's been some buzz around town about those guys moving here. We've got the big new sign on the side of the building to let everybody know that they're in our building as well. So Birthright is now officing out of our building on the 2nd floor, as well as the Red Cross. Whenever there's kind of a disaster going on, the Red Cross will be here. They keep an office on our 2nd floor as well. When you get to the 3rd floor and the 4th floor, right now they're somewhat empty. There's plenty of rooms on those floors, and the idea behind those rooms are to provide transitional housing for people, kind of similar to the Discovery House in Spirit Lake. We've been working with Atlas and then the Aftercare Prison Ministry, and a little bit with the Victory House in the past too. They've adopted a couple rooms to fix up on the 4th floor, but the idea kind of being that the 3rd floor is reserved for men, the 4th floor for women, and there's some rooms on those floors that are almost available now. So the plan going forward is to make those rooms habitable, with the grand plan of making all of them habitable at some point. And then once you get up past there, that's the 5th floor. Right now that is an open palette. We can kind of do whatever we want with that. So there's hardly any walls up there. It's just, it's being supported, obviously, but it's a clean slate, so to speak.
Well, it sounds like exciting things are happening here. How did you get involved?
I was brought in maybe a year and a half ago. It was still the Dream Center at the time when I came to my first meeting. They had a board meeting. They wanted to bring in some different people from the community to just kind of more or less a focus group to figure out what they were going to do with this place, because the Dream Center just wasn't working. There were pieces that were working and pieces that weren't working at all, and so they brought in people from the community to try to help position this, and I came because I absolutely love this building. I've loved this building since I was a child. This is just a great building, and there's a ton of history here. And I came into that meeting not really knowing what to expect, and after listening to everyone that was talking, going around the table and kind of putting a plan together, and it wasn't just the board members here. I mean, we're talking people from the mental health field, the substance abuse field. There were several different organizations involved, and I just happened to be there. And as they kind of explained what they'd like to see this building used for, it was kind of similar to what the Dream Center had going, but and since it was the Dream Center at that time, that's who they were telling this vision to. I just kind of fell in love with it. I went home and I told my wife what was going on here, and we talked about it, and kind of started praying about it a little bit, and just to see how I could help out with that in any way possible. I sure didn't expect to be on the board, but someone came and asked me if I'd be willing to serve on the board, and I talked to my wife about that and talked to God about that a little bit more, and then I came on the board. But one of the first things I wanted to do when I came on the board was to basically get rid of the Dream Center. With the things that had happened here, it didn't really serve a purpose in this community anymore, from my view. And so I talked with the rest of the board, and they all agreed. And so we decided to create a new organization. We'd utilize this space still, obviously, and keep some pieces that were working when it was the Dream Center. And for example, the free medical clinic and the dental clinic, the food and clothing outreach were working great. So we kept those around. And so then that's when we formed Grand Avenue Community Outreach. And the idea behind that name was to explain where it's at. It's on Grand Avenue, but it's not just the Spencer Outreach or the Clay County Outreach. It's Grand Avenue Community Outreach. It's in this community right here in Spencer, but we want to serve people from all over the place. And so that's what we've done with the medical and dental, and with the transitional housing, that's what we want to do as well.
Great. So as executive director, what are some of the duties that you're going to be doing?
Well, the first thing is just to kind of organize things a little more. We've always, ever since this has been Grand Avenue Community Outreach, we've been a group of volunteer board members, and we've been a working board, and that term is an understatement. We've all been working really, really hard on this, and we've had a few changes on our board over the last year or so that we've been an organization, but it's really time to take it to the next level. And so we met with, again, another focus group of people, different people than before, but we brought in a lot more clergy this time. We had a lot of pastors in this meeting and asked what can we do differently here to take this to the next step. Mm-hmm. And every person that we met with in that period of time all said that we need a director to direct where we're going, just to kind of organize things a little bit better in here and do all the things that we weren't able to do as volunteer board members. And so that's what we did. We decided to start looking for a director, and I sure didn't see myself in that role at that time. When we started looking, that was the last thing on my mind. Mm-hmm. But through my prayer and talking to my family and talking to the people that I'd been working with, and just people in general, I have my own little focus group of people around the community that I bounce ideas mm-hmm. off of. And in talking with all of those people and God, I decided that this is probably the right thing for me to do. I've always, since I got here, been looking for ways to give back to this community and to help this community out. Spencer's been really important to me. I've lived here just about a decade now, and it's really become my home, and I want it to remain that way, but I want to be able to make a difference while I'm here. And so anyways, I decided to take on the director's role, and the first plan really is, like I said, to organize things not just around the building physically, but the organization as a whole. There's just different things that we couldn't do as volunteers, and the big thing right now on my plate has been the finances here. With a nonprofit, you're always kind of struggling to stay above water in that regard, and so fundraising is going to be a big piece on my plate. I've got a fantastic board that have been just so helpful in so many different ways, and being a part of that board for long enough and then coming into this role, I think that gives me a unique opportunity to really help take this to the next level. Outside of the finances, though, just kind of overseeing everything that happens here, and the big push is to get those upper floors filled, because it's kind of hard to raise funds for an organization that is just using 2 floors out of this 5-story building. We're really doing well with the 2 floors that we've got, but it's time to use a couple more floors. So that's the next thing on my plate, and just trying to do all that at the same time.
All right. So that's probably part of your vision. What is your grander vision maybe of the Grand Avenue Outreach then?
Well, the grand vision is to fill it. We've got this beautiful historic building in downtown Spencer, and we're using half of it right now, so to speak. There's some things that happen on the 3rd and 4th floor, but definitely not to its potential. And so the vision would be to get those rooms filled, because as I've traveled around and talked to people since we started Grand Avenue Community Outreach, there's definitely a need out there. And at first we're trying to figure out how we fit into that need. There's needs in mental health, there's needs in substance abuse, there's needs in homelessness. And so these were things that I kind of thought we might have as problems in the community. But as I've really dug in more, especially even in since I've been the director, have really noticed that. I'm boots on the ground at this point, seeing people coming in and out of here to use our various outreaches and just talk with our staff here and things like that. And there's a huge need for housing. Mm-hmm. The one thing we don't have and never have really had here is medical personnel on staff. So when we talk about helping out in that regard, we've got the space, but we don't have the professional help for the people that are here. And so before we can start filling those rooms, we need to continue working with the organizations we've been working with, bring in some new organizations to the fold, and just because we want to do this right. Mm-hmm. But we need the experts. We have the space, and that's really about it. We're all very caring people as far as the board and the director and the staff here, and we want to help, but there's just certain things that legally we can't. We're not trained in it. Mm-hmm. And so that's the big part of the vision as far as the next step is just to work with those kinds of people.
Okay, so you kind of touched a little bit on some of the needs you need, but if there are people out in the community who want to be involved, how can they help you? What kind of needs do you have here that they can help with?
Well, as far as needs, I always say there's the 3 T's. There's time, talent, and treasure. Those are what we really need, and that's a very vague thing, but time, we need people to come in and help sort the clothes and carry in the food. And talent, that could mean anything, but what I'm thinking right at this moment is people to come in and, we recently created a punch list, so to speak, of the rooms upstairs of what needs to be done to get them habitable. So if anyone has talents in that regard, they could come and help actually do construction in those rooms. And then right at this very moment, treasure is the big thing. We got to keep the lights on here. So there's plenty of ways that you could contribute financially. There's plenty of areas that we could use the financial contributions. But at this point, there's plenty of need financially to get supplies and materials for those rooms upstairs to get them ready. But at the end of the day, we really need to pay our bills here just like everyone else. And so if we can't keep the lights and the heat on, then there's no building for any of the things that I just talked about.
Exactly. So how can people get in touch with you or make donations?
I'd say the easiest way, we have a drop box right in the lobby outside of the coffee shop for a donation drop box. We just sent out a whole bunch of newsletters just to let people know what's going on here. That newsletter. Included in the newsletter, though, is a little form you can fill out if you'd like to donate and mail that back or drop it in the box or give it to me personally. I get around in the community. I'm in a lot of different places, so if you ever see me and you have that on you, you can give it to me in person if you want. But the easiest way to get in touch with me, if anyone has questions or needs more information or anything like that, email is probably the best way for me right now. And I'm just director at gacoutreach.com. And you can find that on our website, which is gacoutreach.com. There's a button on there if you'd like to donate electronically. You can do it that way. We have a Facebook page, Facebook at GAC Outreach. And or you can call here anytime and talk to me on the phone. If I'm not in, I'm really good about returning voicemails as quick as I can. So the phone number would be 580-4732. So plenty of different ways, and a lot of people in the community have my cell phone number too. So I sleep a little bit at night, but I always have my phone on. So.
All right, sounds great. Well, it sounds like you have great hopes for the building, and hopefully they'll all come true for you.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for and praying for, and we'll just see what happens next.
All right, so if you're out and about, stop in at Terrazzo, get a cup of coffee, get some lunch, and then help out a great community project right here in our hometown. Right.
The local mission. That's
go.
What I always say. There's plenty of missions out there and mission trips and missionaries, but we've got one right here in our community, and I'm all about keeping things local, so I'd appreciate any kind of local support we can get.
All right, great. Well, thanks for joining us here today.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And we'll be back with more FYI right after this.